It's time to lock in as we enter episode 54 today of this F1 24 career mode with 3 races left of season 3. It is crunch time, and following a chaotic, a messy and a devastating race at Sao Paulo, where in the sprint we were left with a tyre off, and in the main race we had 4 different safety cars coming out in the first, 12 laps only. It was a little bit ridiculous. Don't know what the FIA was smoking that day. And later on, at the very end of the race, it was an absolute shambles by George Russell, spinning it on the last lap, and a puncher came our way, which has now seen Charles Leclerc gain a huge lead in the Drivers' Championship, and we at Mercedes have slipped down to 3rd in the Constructors' Championship. In many ways, I'm feeling a lot like Red Bull are in real life, especially with that Constructors. Slipping down from 1st to 3rd is pretty crazy, because we have been 1st for quite some time now, since that midway part of the season. And then, of course, in the Drivers' Championship, Leclerc, just all the luck went his way. Obviously, the sprint was just a racing incident. And then in the race, we tried to be a bit too clever, maybe, for our own good, trying to go long, and the puncher came our way. We had to think fast, though, to be fair, to limit the damage. Instead of Leclerc scoring 25 points, he only scored 12 points. So we did ourselves a favor there with some quick thinking. And if you want to know what that quick thinking was, then definitely go check that video out before you see the rest of this one. But there's already some talk of next season, let alone the end of this season, as we've got driver market rumors from Elena in the emails. Apparently, Ricciardo may be getting booted from the new Toyota team going to next season. I beg this means we're actually going to get some interesting driver transfers elsewhere as well with an email like this, but we shall see. But all eyes are on myself and Charles Leclerc for the remaining 3 races. No R&D to talk about because everyone is saving up for a regulation change, so it's going to be more of the same, and that familiarity is going to be a incredibly competitive top 10. You can't really call who's going to win it, who's going to be on the podium. I mean, just look at the way the last 3 races have gone. Leclerc has swung it with 2 wins in a row, and then Brazil happened, and all of a sudden he's in a commanding lead, whereas for so long it looked like we were in a commanding lead, and now it's really time for us to lock in, because we now need to mount a comeback of all comebacks in the last 3 races. With that needing to be the case, I felt a wave of, reinvent ourselves a bit, maybe have a bit of a villain arc of our own at the end of this season. I mean, other drivers certainly have had their aim at us. The aggression has been high from our former teammate Lando Norris, Verstappen, Alonso. Ironically, the only man we've not felt aggression from is Charles Leclerc, but to that effect, we are getting our head down and pushing away the noise. For the next 2 episodes, we'll be donning this special all black and red helmet. The sponsors and most of the designs all blacked out, and only a subtle bit of red shining through, reflecting how I'm feeling going into these remaining races. Let's go into quali for the Portuguese Grand Prix.
Now practice is over, qualifying awaits. Welcome along from Portugal and the fearsome Portimão. Time to light up those timesheets and see who can take pole today.
This car has been up and down all season, but you feel in the last few episodes it's just been down and down and down, whether it be operationally from the team, mistakes, pit stop issues, decisions we've made as a unit on strategy, etc. Just the luck and everything, the way things have gone. So it's time to fight back. It's time to get the gloves off and try and drive the wheels off this silver arrow, wrestle this thing through and try and maximize what we can do over 1 lap first of all in quali, and then in tomorrow's race going aggressive on the strategy. I think already I know we're committing to the 2-stop. We're not going to leave it to chance with tyre wear issues plaguing this car all season, really, especially with the tyre temperatures being a kind of whole separate story, really, away from the actual tyre wear itself. But yeah, I think we've got to go aggressive and just try and believe in ourselves that we've got pace to come back through, even if it does mean an extra stop compared to others. But Portimão, very abrasive circuit, especially on this game. It seems like most people do a 2-stop anyway from previous races, but there will be those that maybe try a 1-stop as we do improve on our second flying lap. It was was difficult out there, though, and we only managed P6. I say only. We've done bloody fantastic to get this fridge of a Mercedes up into the top 10, because you have to scroll all the way down the order to see where George Russell is. He isn't even on the first page. You have to scroll down. He's P19. You know, I said I felt a bit like Red Bull, us slipping down to third in the Constructors. I think we literally are Red Bull from real life right now. You've got Russell cosplaying as Perez here, P19 in qualifying, whereas we're in P6 making the most of our car. And ahead of us, we've got some stark competition. Both McLarens, both Ferraris, and Verstappen's Red Bull Ford. Hamilton just behind us, and the other Red Bull Ford, of course, as well. So, yeah, we've got our work cut out, and clearly the car's actually not in a great place, and Russell's really struggling. He's just going from low to low, and he's really losing momentum. In the same way AI gained momentum after winning races and doing well, clearly, you know, things like the spin on the last lap, last episode, are really hurting his focus levels, which is, you know, basically just going to mean he's not performing well. And so it's up to us to try our best. But at this point, I'm just a one-man show fighting for myself. I almost feel like Verstappen in real life. I think the Constructors is done. It's gone. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just thinking about my championship now versus Leclerc. And to that effect, we go into the race. Going into tomorrow, we've only got one thing on our mind, is beating Leclerc.
The Formula One circus has made its way to the southern coast of Portugal this week and is preparing for what I think will be a terrific race here in Portimão. So Portimão features 15 turns over the course of its 2.9-mile length. 9 are right-handers, 6 are to the left. This is a track with a lot of uphill action, which only accentuates the importance of getting those exits right, especially at turn 4, where a good line can present opportunities to pass on the way into turn 5. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, a Mercedes, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Sargent, Joe, Bottas, Verstappen, Behrman, Oscar Piastri, Hülkenberg, Hamilton, Ocon, Russell, Albon, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. And alongside me for the first time this season here in the commentary box, Naomi Schiff. Hello, Notes. Let's look at their season, and particularly against their teammate. Fair to say, they've got the better of them more often than not. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, every driver certainly has their own way of preparing themselves before a race. But I can tell you that pre-race rituals are a real thing. When I was in go-karting, I used to touch every wheel in a specific sequence before I got into the kart. And then I stepped up to cars and had a specific set of fireproof base layers just for race day. So watch the drivers when they're on the grid. Some may be sitting on the floor and isolating, others may be up to other things that they do. But these little things really help their minds get ready for the race.
We have got a 19-point deficit to Charles Leclerc in the Drivers' Championship with 3 Grand Prix and a sprint to go, and we start this race behind the man in red. The task is simple for this race, for next race, for the finale race. It's looking to win. We have to aim for P1. Whether we get that because of where the car is, how it's been performing, who knows? But if we aim for first, hopefully that just means we're beating Leclerc, and that's all we can really do, because, you know, we can't be chasing dreams of where we hope to finish if some cars and some drivers are simply quicker. But we just simply must beat Leclerc, and this race in particular feels like a must-win, otherwise the title hopes are over. That, or at least a massive point swing whatever the case, the visor comes down and we get ready to go to 5 red lights, and the Portuguese Grand Prix is underway. The final 3 races ahead of us in this season, and it's a chaotic start, 4 wide nearly into turn 1. Tsunoda in the Toyota, a blitzing start, makes contact with Perez, but he's overtaken 3 of us. He's up into P4. We narrowly make contact with the Japanese driver. We're side by side with Alonso on the outside. It was a slow start from us once again. This Mercedes proving unpredictable. It was a shocking getaway for us. It was a great one for Lando Norris on pole position. Oh, and if you didn't realise already or didn't see in the grid sequence, Verstappen, he qualified P3 I think it was, but he's down in P12. He has been hit with grid penalties for engine component changes as Lando fends off Leclerc in second, Sainz third, Tsunoda P4, but we're going to try and change that. Dive down the inside of the Japanese driver over the curb. The car gets unsettled a little bit, but we commit and we're able to get up into the top 4. Whilst we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, it's needed as we now close up to Sainz, but equally we're all bunching up a bit. And, with Leclerc second and looking up the road, it looks like he's trying his best to apply the pressure for first place. As we said, another purple, we overtake his teammate. And right now, the task of beating Leclerc, as it stands, is going for the race win. So, kind of, killing 2 birds with 1 stone, I suppose. But this just amps the pressure up. If Leclerc is going for the win, it means we have to. There's no other choice. Simply isn't. And here he goes on lap 5 now, on board with the man from Monaco, up into P1. It's a simple DRS overtake. The McLaren yields down to second place. We are within 1 second of the top 2 now, so we just need to keep stuck in and hopefully reel them in. But this is maybe the opposite of what we're hoping for. Leclerc in the lead. We're third, so we've got it all to do. Meanwhile, there's some great fighting going on behind in the bottom half of the top 10. Logan Sargent flying the flag for High-Tech ahead of Behrman in P10. Stroll trying to overtake both of them as Aston Martin enjoy a little bit of a better performance in the last couple of races, whereas the opposite can be said of the likes of Williams, who are down at the bottom now. So I think Williams have, faced the same sort of issues Red Bull did earlier in the season. This new era of Formula 1 cars struggling maybe with some setup and the wrong direction on upgrades, as on lap 6 we now get the hurry up from Mark, our engineer, to not only go and overtake the McLaren ahead, but also the Ferrari within 4 laps time. The task is set and we're going to immediately try and get up into second place. It's a bit of an audacious overtake chance, but it really wasn't going to work for us there. The space was ever closing from our old teammate, and just like in Austria, no love lost between 2 former McLaren teammates. We do go around the outside, but it was with a large amount of contact. But like I said, pre-qualifying, we almost need a bit of a villain arc of our own. We need to get our hands dirty a bit. We need to just get the elbows out and try and push the limits and be super aggressive. We know where we want to be, so we need to just force our way there. And we have done so up into second place, and now chasing after the Ferrari, who's harvesting a bit of battery. We're also not deploying just yet, but we don't need it as we go from right to left. We've dummied Leclerc somewhat there. We really caught the Ferrari napping somewhat. I thought he was going to put up much more of a fight, but I don't think he even really realised we were going to go for the move there. But we've now got a bit of a tank slapper on our hands, and Leclerc immediately on the right-hand side makes contact. Lando on the left. It's 3 wide. We're going to get pinched in. I could see the writing on the wall. If I committed to that inside line, it would have been absolute rope. So we just back out of it just a tad to let Lando cut the curb, and then we are able to get back into second place. The Ferrari is back into first, but more importantly, we live to fight for another day. But that was very sketchy, and with the top 4 so close together, it is going to be sketchy the entire time, because all of us want this race win, as we're now side by side with Leclerc. This is probably the most fighting wheel to wheel we've done with our new championship rival. Meanwhile, seemingly we can't get rid of our bloody old teammate as Lando dives Leclerc and makes more contact with us. What is he doing, son? He gets up into P1. We're back down to second place, and he's nowhere near the title fight, but he's getting really stuck in. He wants to win really quite badly, and maybe just wants to pull away from myself and Leclerc, who are in a championship fight, but obviously we want to try and maximize the points we get. But yeah, as we watch Tsunoda attacking Sainz, the Toyota, trying to get up into third place. As I was saying before, Lando rudely interrupted me. Yeah, we haven't actually really had that much wheel-to-wheel battling with Leclerc, ironically. He's either been too quick for us in the last few episodes, or we've been quicker than him, and Ferrari have been a bit dormant. Obviously, he's been consistently getting results, you know, in the first half of the season. Very much kind of almost like last season when we fought Alonso. We hardly saw each other on track until the finale race, where Leclerc and myself have got a bit of a taster of the wheel-to-wheel battle with each other now in the third last race, so we're already maybe sussing out how each other fights, and so far Leclerc's been very, very respectful with the fighting. No funny business so far, but obviously that may change going into the finale and indeed the next race at Qatar. But we're now in. Leclerc was in earlier. Obviously he was on the soft tyre, if you notice, so he was always going to come in a bit earlier than us, but we're not going too much longer, because on the two stop, actually the mediums end up only being maybe 2-3 laps longer stint-wise than the soft tyres. And obviously I want to also try and get an undercut going on the McLaren of Lando Norris, because he's still stayed out, and we've actually come out ahead of Leclerc. Leclerc was behind us. He pit earlier because of his tyre wear, but I was also worried he was going to undercut us, but he's not. Perez hasn't either, but Perez has jumped Leclerc, and Perez is so quick on a new set of softs he's on that he just does us immediately. He got a great exit. Obviously my tyres are still warming up, having just come out of the pit, so Checo is really in a rhythm right now in this second stint. He's up into P10, but effectively he's leading this pack that have just pit, basically. You know, Lando, Sainz, Tsunoda, Alonso, all yet to pit. They will come in eventually. Verstappen's up to P5 now, so I think Verstappen's slowly but surely recovering from that grid penalty he had, but Tsunoda and Sainz now are the ones that lead the way. Lando has come in, and he has come out well behind us, as Tsunoda now going for the race lead, track position versus Carlos Sainz. Those two going even longer than anyone else. It's lap 14 and they're still going, so I have a suspicion Sainz and Tsunoda, I think they're doing a one-stop. I think they're trying a one-stop. Meanwhile, back in our world, Perez has dropped me. I can't keep up with Perez, and actually I'm being attacked by Ollie Behrman. Behrman on the inside. The soft tyre runners are cooking us as we have to take avoiding action, and through goes Leclerc, threading the needle. Opportunistic there from the Ferrari as the high-tech car nearly trips over us, as we're now neck and neck with our rival. Behrman somewhere in the mixer, so is the McLaren as well, as the Ferrari is trying really hard to get round the outside. We're losing the back end, and what the traction that Ferrari just then was mad. Leclerc completely did us on the exit, and only just with a bit of battery use have we stuck in side by side here. So clearly the Mercedes is not that great on the traction. The only thing we have going for ourselves clearly is our battery deployment is pretty damn good in terms of the straight line speed once we get it going. But when we don't have battery, as we saw very clearly in Monza, this car is an absolute boat. So it's all about trying to keep enough battery floating in there to push, and we've done just that on lap 16. We've got our head down a bit, we kind of regrouped a bit and reconcentrated on what we were doing, and we put in a really great lap there on lap 16. Purple middle sector, purple last sector to pull away, break out the 1 second from the Ferrari behind, and now Leclerc has had to instead actually worry about Behrman and Lando behind him as we now catch up to Perez, but he comes in. So Perez, honestly, maybe driver of that second stint. He really did so well. Pulled away from me. We now lead, but we are going to come in eventually, but we're going to extend this stint because we are looking to go onto the soft compound of tyre. But by extending the stint, we open ourselves up to being attacked by one Max Verstappen. We're coming in on this lap, but my tyre wear is so horrendous. The Red Bull, it's an easy overtake for him. He's up into P1, and by the way, this does mean, yeah, Verstappen is with us now. Verstappen is fully caught up to that pack of myself, Lando, Alonso, Leclerc. So it's a great recovery drive, just showing how strong the Red Bull has become again once they found whatever they had to find in that setup work in the last few episodes. But they've still been plagued with a few little operational issues. Things like the grid penalties don't help, of course. But yeah, Verstappen is now in the mixer as we come in, and no surprise, Leclerc covers us off, even though he's on a bit of a different strategy because he started on softs and we are going to softs. He's covered us, obviously a bit desperate to keep tabs on his championship rival. He's on the hards though. What a weird strategy from Ferrari. They've done soft, medium, hards using all compounds. Very, very odd. We've done, the fact we're doing medium, medium, soft just shows you what a weird choice that is. We've had massive tyre wear issues, but I feel confident we should be fine on the soft to the end now. We extended the middle stint to the point where, there's only, nine laps on the soft tyres, so I think we should be fine. But Ferrari, maybe they just didn't have any other tyres left, but they're on hards. We're going to make easy work of Esteban Ocon. But that's good news for me. I really beg those hard tyres for Leclerc never fire up in this last stint, and that could maybe give us a couple of more points over Leclerc if others around him overtake him. I mean, we saw in the second stint the tyre delta difference between these compounds is huge. Like, Perez and Behrman were so much quicker than me on softs, so maybe people will be much quicker than Leclerc on mediums or softs if they're like me and Verstappen going onto soft tyres. As now, speaking of Perez, we're catching up to him. He's being held up quite a bit by Piastri. So look at this. This is the difference between hards to mediums. Piastri is so slow, clearly holding up Checo here because Checo is so much quicker in the second stint. But we're even quicker now because it's our turn to be on the soft tyre. So I think this is really coming towards us. This is looking good. We may not be on for the race win because, like I said, I really do think Tsunoda and Sainz are in a world of their own trying the one-stop. But as we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, we're up into third place. Verstappen now, like I said, on the softs himself, and he is going for the move on Perez. He will recover up to P4, but he's got his sights on us a bit worryingly, and he's got the pace to do it. But look at this, as Ollie Behrman gets overtaken by Lando for P7. Russell defending Leclerc. Finally, this man has done something for us, done something for Mercedes this season. He's been absolutely rubbish all season long. He's done nothing. He span on the last lap last time out of Brazil when I tried to get him ahead of Leclerc. But finally, he is doing us a favour and he's defending against Leclerc, and he's keeping Leclerc at bay down in a very lowly P10. That is huge for us. Now that means, yes, obviously it would have been nice to get second or first, but third place, 15 points, Leclerc's 1 point. That's still a big 14-point swing. That's massive. That's actually way more than just winning the race and if Leclerc was on the podium. So I'm very happy with that, but we just need to hope Russell can keep him at bay, down in P10 basically. But also there may be some change to come for us because Verstappen, like I said, is gunning for us, and clearly he is maybe one of the quickest cars out there, and he simply walks by us with DRS on lap 31. We have a chance to come back at him. He tightens up his own racing line. Very peculiar there from the Dutchman. He really just forced himself into an error there as we just take the open space on the left, get back up into third place. Meanwhile, Fernando Alonso's doing us a favour here for once. He's been fighting us so ferociously lately, like in Singapore, but he's overtaken Leclerc. Leclerc's out the points. This is massive for us. I could never have pictured this happening. What is going on? Sainz is up in second place, so it's not the car. Like, the car has the pace to be on the podium fighting for a race win, but Leclerc has had a howler today, and it's Sainz's turn to be the star, and that's good for us. But there may be some lady luck on Leclerc's side because Verstappen is gunning for us and trying to steal this third place. He sends it. Verstappen, aggressive as ever. Bit of contact made as we bang time tyres. Verstappen with a late dive bomb caught me unawares. We're going to come back at him equally and get the elbow out to try and out Verstappen in a way, but he is just too good at this game. Gets the elbow himself and gets back up into third place. Can we make a move in a straight line? It's going to be difficult. That Red Bull Ford is proper quick in a straight line, it would seem, in clean air, as Lando is also on the back of us. We need to watch out for that, but Verstappen's susceptible. We've got DRS, and we do get back ahead. DRS being the biggest factor there, but now I fear, once again, we're the sitting duck, as now Verstappen has another chance. This time, we're going to shut the door on the inside. We're going to stop him making the inside pass, but that doesn't stop the man. He goes round the outside. He's cooked us. He's absolutely done us there. I can't even be mad. He's completely done me on the outside. I had no way to defend that. I was already defending his inside move, and he's just thought, that's fine, I'll just overtake you on the outside. Meanwhile, on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Tsunoda in the Toyota has been leading this entire stint, but it's heartbreak for the Japanese driver. Sainz gets P1 on the last lap. We didn't really, to be honest, we should have been talking about that maybe a bit more, but so much has been going on for us versus Verstappen and Leclerc as well. But yeah, Tsunoda, what an insane race. He was leading for pretty much half this race, up front on that one stop, but last lap, I mean, never say never in Formula 1 in the case of Sainz's POV, because he just kept on pushing, and on the last lap, he's got the race win here for Ferrari, just showing the Ferrari car is quick enough to win this race. But Ferrari have really messed up Leclerc's strategy today, and Leclerc himself maybe hasn't performed as well. He's out the points, and he's watching his teammate win the race. That is painful, as we try a last-ditch effort. This is a little bit desperate, to be honest. I'm trying to give Verstappen a bit of his own medicine here on the inside. It's not going to work, though. Verstappen has the elbows out. I'm trying to jockey this car around, but my tyres are now starting to scream, and Verstappen is clearly a bit better. He pit a bit later than me, and he manages to go around the outside. He's going to maintain third place, but P4, I'll take it. It's still a massive 12 points versus Leclerc's 0 points. That's big. That's big. It's maybe not the race win I was hoping for, but it's a bigger point swing than I thought would be the case. That has been a huge race for us. Massive one. Massive one.
All the signs were there that it was going to be his day, and what a day it was. Carlos Sainz wins.
What a wonderful drive to see them come from far down the grid to win the race. Those days are the ones that throw the biggest challenges at you, and to stick out and win it is an incredible job. Ferrari,
and especially Leclerc, will be looking at this and being a little bit miffed probably, because with one driver winning, the potential was there, but the man who needed to be, scoring some points scored 0. And so now we've brought down the gap to 7 points. But that's the thing, the gap was so large. We've had such a big, P4 and Leclerc scoring 0. The gap's still 7 points. That's still pretty big, considering Ferrari have won 3 races out of the last 4. With that run of form, Leclerc's got to still feel comfortable about trying to go for at least a podium minimum in the last 2 races. So that makes bringing a 7-point gap down still very, very difficult. I mean, it's a lot more realistic now, I feel, but it's still going to be an uphill battle, and why we still need to be completely zoned in and locked in next time at Qatar. But that was a thrilling Portuguese Grand Prix. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.